Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be going over word problems and how to create equations for those. So our learning target is I can translate words into a number sentence, or in other words, an equation. Our success criteria is 1. I read the problem first to understand the situation. 2. I can set up a parts equals total equation. And 3. I know how to double check my equation with the story. So in this problem, it says Jasmine's cell phone company charges her $35 a month for phone service, plus 50 cents for each text message. How many text messages does Jasmine send in a month if her bill was $52? So first, we need to go through and decide what x is equal to. So I'm going to be going to this place where it says how many and ends in a question mark. So this sentence right here says how many text messages does she send in a month? So I would write x equals number of text messages monthly. Okay? Messages per month. So it's important to start off with that so we know what our x is going to be equaling for that. Alright, so moving to the next slide, we need to also be determining what the different parts are for this equation. So right here I can see that there's going to be two different parts because we have one part that's talking about the monthly charging her $35 for the service, and then we have another part that's talking about the number of text messages that she's sending. So I'm going to be having two different parts here. A part plus a part equals a total. My first part is going to be the service charge, and my second part is going to be the text messages part. And it's going to equal $52 total because it says her total bill was $52. So when determining what goes in our blanks, we need to decide what the word problem tells us. It says right there that it charges her $35 a month. So we would stick $35 in here for the monthly surcharge. For the text message part, remember we decided x was the number of text messages. So we already have x right here as the number of text messages. But we need to figure out what number to put in front of it. Well, we're going to be sticking the 50 cents right there because it's going to cost 50 cents per text message. And that will complete our equation. Something else to notice is often we write things in terms of the number of things, which there's one surcharge number, times the cost, which was $35. And right here, same thing, we have the number of texts, which is x, times the cost, which is 50 cents per text, is equal to our total. So I like to remember it as the number times the cost plus the number times the cost is equal to the total amount there. So your final equation should look something like this. Then we could go back and we could solve for x and see what that is, and then we can also check our work just by looking at the equation and making sure that it makes sense. That I have my x connected to stuff for text messages because we're talking about how to find the total number of text messages. So the x has to be attached to the 50 cents because that's the cost for one. So I would go back through and make sure everything makes logical sense. For the second problem, it says a new one-year membership at Roswell Tennis Center costs $160. A registration fee of $28 is paid up front, and the rest is paid monthly. How much do new members pay each month? So once again, it's important to start off with writing down what x equals. Whoops, down here I'll write down that x is equal to the cost members pay per month. Cost per month. Okay. And then we're going to be going through and figuring out our different parts. But make sure you start with that part. Okay, so we're going to be having two parts. We're going to be having the registration part that is right here. Whoops. Sorry, it went forward. The registration part right here. Okay, so let me pull out my pen. So the registration fee right there is $28. So we're going to have registration right here. And then for the other part, it's talking about paying the rest monthly. So we write like monthly payment right there, something like that. That's equal to our total amount. So we're going to have registration plus monthly charge is equal to our total of $160. And then we need to go through and stick in the numbers that relate with that. So it says it's a 1-year membership, but we need to be careful because the question is asking in the end for each month. So this total is in terms of years, yearly cost. And so to compensate for that, we need to be fixing it by making sure that this monthly surcharge is actually multiplied by the 12 because there are 12 months in a year. So we have the 12 times the X right here because the X is the monthly payment and we're doing that for 12 months. So we multiply those together. And then we have this one-time $28 registration fee that they gave us right here. We only pay that once, so there's no need to multiply it by anything else. So I could even put a times 1 right there if that made me feel better about it. So remember, once again, we have the cost times the number of things, which is 1, plus the cost, which is what X is, we don't know what it is, times the number of things, which is 12 months, is equal to our total yearly cost of $160. So to check your work, make sure that every part makes sense in context, and then you could solve for X and determine what that gives you. For our last problem, Caroline's Coffee Shop sells a refill mug for $8.95. Each refill costs $1.50. And last month, Sean spent $26.95 on a mug and refills. How many refills did he buy? So first, we need to figure out what X is. Remember, it always comes after how many or how much, ends in a question mark. So you would say X is equal to the number of refills. Refills. Okay. And so as we go through this problem, we need to keep that in mind. That's our end goal. And so now we're going to be determining our different parts and going forward like normal. Okay, so right here we're going to have 2 different parts. We're going to be having a mug part and a refill part. And that's going to equal our total of $26.95. So we need to determine which numbers are going to go where. To do that, we need to look and see what they tell us up above. They do it $8.95 for the mug. And how many mugs are we buying? Well, just 1. So you could put times by 1 if it made you feel better. And then plus blank X is equal to the total of the $26.95. So right here for refills, we need to go back to the problem and see how much they cost. We see it gives us that it was $1.50 per refill. And then we need to multiply it by X because, once again, X is the number of refills that he bought. And so we can see in this problem it ends up looking like this, where you have the number, which is 1, of the mug, that should say mug, not registration, times the $8.95, which is the cost for 1 mug, and then $1.50, which is the cost for 1 refill, and then the X is representing how many refills he bought, and that equals the total amount right here, the $26.95. Then you go back and check your work and make sure everything makes sense. Solve for X, that'll tell you the number of refills that he bought. So hopefully that helps to go back to review. Let's make sure that we got our learning targets covered and our success criteria. So you guys should have learned how to, first, read the problem to understand the situation. Second, set up a parts equals total equation. And finally, know how to double check your equation with the story. Hopefully that helps, and have a nice day, guys.